The chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Paul, for 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, tobacco industry leaders are under attack by nearly everyone. A tobacco-friendly tax provision that was hidden in the settlement was quickly removed by the Senate and House once the public became aware of it. But without a direct tax benefit or higher cigarette prices or both, there's no way the industry can afford the astronomical $368 billion settlement they have agreed to pay over the next 25 years. The industry makes only $8.4 billion annual pre-tax profit. The tobacco companies deserve every bit of grief they are receiving, but for reasons other than commonly assumed. It's true they profit from selling a dangerous product, but so do automobile, airplane, and gun manufacturers, as well as food producers, drug companies, and coffee farmers. When you boil it down, any product used incorrectly or excessively is dangerous. Even oxygen used incorrectly can be dangerous. And most people know tobacco is dangerous without the benefit of the nanny state inspectors and the bureaucrats' warning label. Tobacco company executives symbolize much of what is wrong with corporate America and our corrupt system of special interests, favoritism, and interventionism. For decades, big government lobbied for and gladly accepted subsidies and trade benefits, while anyone with a grain of common sense knew smoking was a bad habit that adversely affected some people's health. It was no secret that young people could easily become addicted to nicotine. There were specific gains to be realized from the charade that surrounded tobacco sales. Pretending that smoking was a benign habit made it easier to collect benefits from the non-smoking taxpayers. And the alternative, arguing for personal responsibility, was hardly in vogue. Over the past 50 years plus, responsibility for risk incrementally has been shifted from the individual to the state. As we move further from a free society toward a managed welfare state, responsibility for nearly everything began to be systematically delivered to someone else through the state and its growing army of bureaucrats. The tobacco industry was a willing accomplice to this portrayal of individual responsibility. The failure of big tobacco to fight government's requirement to place warning labels on cigarettes while accepting agriculture subsidies allowed the entire smoking industry from production to distribution to be invaded by the federal government. Tobacco put the welcome mat out for big government. Now it's only a matter of time before nicotine will be declared a drug and more FDA regulations will inundate us. Unfortunately, this will only compound our many problems with nicotine. Smoking should be treated no differently than compulsive eating, chocolate addiction, or driving too fast. But the way that tobacco corporate leaders are acting in cahoots with big government, you would think they are conspiring to prevent this. The question is, who has responsibility for our well-being? Who should make decisions regarding risk-taking and personal habits? The government or the individual? During the Clinton health care debate, tobacco and nearly every other industry took the easy way out. They conceded that it was the government's responsibility, federal and state, to provide medical care for everyone as if it were in itself a constitutional right. When the free market works, medical insurance premiums adjust to reflect the cost of habits like smoking, skydiving, overweight, and medical preconditions. When government pays, the concept of insurance goes out the window and everybody gets everything paid for and no one can be discriminated against. Persons who have harmed their health by smoking have learned they can coerce those with good health into paying for the consequence of their bad habit. In fact, many who harm themselves through their chosen lifestyles, not just a single bad habit, religiously believe they have a right to be taken care of by someone else. This group includes not only those who smoke, but those who drink too much or perform sexual acts which increase their chances of acquiring AIDS or hepatitis, or those who won't diet to take care of their diabetes or heart conditions. It's this abdication of personal responsibility, this misconceived notion that the state is responsible for us, that drives counterintelligent drug laws, which inspires the use of dirty needles, which serves to further spread AIDS and hepatitis. And instead of legalizing the right to buy a clean needle for a few pennies, the bureaucrats insist on making it's the government's responsibility to coerce non-drug users into paying for free needles so the addicts can keep using their illegal drugs. Nothing could be more bizarre. This lack of understanding, responsibility, rights, and subsidies has led the tobacco industry leaders to further compound the problem by not fighting the trumped-up obligation to pay for any health care that may have arisen from smoking. Not once have we heard a tobacco industry leader defend his right to sell something that is risky to some but not others, which is the case with tobacco and most other products.